Relying on the satellite calculation that MH370 made a steep, high-speed descent, there are two primary scenarios. The first is the so-called death dive that has dictated the ATSB's 4-year, $200 million search for MH370. The second is that Captain Zahari maximised his fuel range at altitude, then used the speed of his dive to glide the aircraft to a controlled landing on the ocean. But could any pilot do that? Captain Simon Hardy will try. First, though, he will fly the ATSB's assumed death dive.
I'm going to turn off the right engine now. So the aircraft's going to start slowing down and the left engine comes up to compensate for the fact that we've lost one of them.
Simon is doing what is almost never done in a simulator, deliberately allowing his aircraft to crash. And the assumption at this point is that nobody's in control of the plane.
Yeah.
This is just autopilot.
So we're not going to touch it, we'll just watch and see what happens. So 5 miles to go, just 35 seconds.
After flying for 7.5 hours, the plane is at the very limit of its range as it runs out of fuel. We're entering the death dive.
This is the point. Turn that engine off. You've lost all your instruments, which is correct.
Within a matter of seconds, it begins a catastrophic dive from which there will be no recovery.
The speed's washing off now even more because we've lost that engine, and now it's starting to turn.
Even in a simulator, it is a sobering experience.
Speed's now coming up. Warning is saying bank angle. This is overspeed warning, not pull up, terrain. It's now saying you're going to hit the ground at this rate of descent. We've got 10,000 feet to go. It's still accelerating, so it's probably supersonic now in this particular. Okay, we're going to crash now though. That's it. Okay. Stop. That's pretty horrible, isn't it?
From cruising altitude to ocean surface, it's all over in less than 2 minutes, putting the plane not far from where it finally ran out of fuel. How far did we travel?
We travelled 11.9 miles from the time the second engine failed.
Do you think what we've just shown actually happened?
I don't think it happened, no, because I think that somebody was controlling the aircraft to the end. The death dive thing isn't realistic as far as I'm concerned.
So that then leaves another scenario.
Well, it leaves the scenario that this was a mission by one of the crew to hide the aircraft as far away from civilization as possible.
Now we run the counter scenario. Taking into account the ATSB's calculation of a high-speed descent, could MH370's pilot have pulled out of the so-called death dive? And how much further could he have flown before landing on the water?
So we're coming up to the second engine failure point.
Within moments of the second engine running out of fuel, we're once again spiralling into what looks like a catastrophic dive.
Bank, 5,000 feet a minute, 6,000, 8,000, 9,000, there's full-scale deflection, so now I'm going to recover the aircraft.
Only this time, in the skilled hands of a pilot, the plane is brought back under control.
The speed's coming back.
With no power and the most rudimentary of controls, the Boeing 777 is actually flying again.
So now we're just flying with no engines, we're just a huge glider.
You seem to pull the plane out of that death dive effortlessly. Is that because we're in a simulator, or can you do that as a pilot?
No, you can do it. I think if you put any pilot here, he would be able to do the same thing.
Our journey to the ocean surface will take a full 9 minutes and add nearly 100 nautical miles to our flight.
500 feet, 300 feet, 100 now. And that's crashed. That's it.
A controlled crash that raises fundamental questions about the central assumption that guided the search for MH370.
the total travelled is 88.4, which puts us way outside the search area that is currently being done. So if you ask me, has there ever been a chance of finding the aircraft, the answer is no.
Whether MH370 was under the control of its captain Zahari Ahmad Shah until the very end is the question dividing the Situation Room, with Martin Dolan adamant the ATSB's 25 nautical mile search corridor is still the most likely.
I'm currently researching MH370 extensively, and I'll soon be releasing a full recreation with the most current information. Please subscribe, and thanks for watching.